Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. Last Stand, written by Ouijan Warrior. The pilot of the small vessel reached out and flipped the switch. Recording and transmitting. I still don't see why we're doing that. The pilot didn't look at the weapon operator. She couldn't. The cramped layout of the ship had two crew facing away from each other. According to orders, the pilot replied, in the tired voice of someone who had explained it many times before. A running log is to be recorded and transmitted in full. To a probe, to several probes at will, on conclusion of the battle. Blink out and travel to known alien systems before broadcasting the whole thing, yes. But why? To show them how humanity died, I guess. We better start working on the checklists. A little later, as the pilot worked through the various settings on the navigation system, the weapon officer spoke up again. The volunteer shuttles are arriving on assigned positions. A desperate measure for sure. 1,000,000 to 1 chance, not even that. Barely trained, barely equipped. 20 bodies crammed into a shuttle, hoping to somehow punch through and conduct a boarding action. Madness. Still, I can understand the volunteers. Better to do something than just wait outside for an orbital bombardment. 70,000. Would be more if they could have manufactured more assault shuttles. There are riots at the mustering points to be allowed into the program. This is it, ain't it? Aye, yes. We're not going to shore leave after this one. It's not like we're getting to the next paycheck anyway. Nor would there be anywhere left to spend it. On the upside, I don't have to conserve Delta V for the return home. There is that. The weapon officer looked up from his console, trying to see anything through the small porthole next to him. They are phasing in, targets classified and prioritized as Terror Control sees them. There is, a lot of them. The target-rich environment for sure. More than Intel projected. A lot more. Intel had been a mix of facts, projections, and wild guesstimates. Hopeful assumption and plain lies for the entire campaign. True. We've been assigned to target cluster, 6 heavies on even dozen escorts. If we cut close to Demi's orbit, we can engage in 15. Copy. Who else has been assigned? It's us. And 10 assault shuttles. Our heavies have been assigned to Earth defense. Just us. Roger. Target-rich environment indeed. Stand by for maneuver. The weapons officer kept scrolling through the reports on his screen. We're going to be in range in 10. The outer colonies are no longer transmitting. Roger. Give me a vector on whatever heavy is closest when we're in range. On your screen. Long-range fire just took out the hood. Magazine explosion. Copy. Let's focus on our corner of the system. Wilco. Target cluster is maneuvering. Updating our vector. The fans in the cramped cockpit were overloaded as the pilot neatly lined up the vectors. How long? 5 minutes to contact. And you want to know this. Brazil just got hit by a bombardment projectile. Which city? Brazil. As in the whole country. Calejo. My feelings too. We're in weapons range. Copy. We're going in. Weapons hot. Paternoster. Question. Missiles away. Chaff deployed. Recommend. Tum advent regnum tum fiat. Close 1. You've got a new vector. In salo et in terra venem. Hit. Multiple hits. 1 escort is breaking up. De nobis hodi, ardiet in inferno fili canono, et demete nobis. Outer missile switching to unguided rockets, et nos diminitus, debitoribus. They are attempting to jam, whole EM spectrum lit up. Good thing the rockets are dumb. Nons indicus in tant totinem. Shuttles are pushing through. 2 down. Rest angling for lead heavy. Libis nos e. Contact. Reaching chargers. 6 of them made it. Amen. Amen. Now take us wide past so your railgun can recharge. The weapon officer straightened up as so fast his water bulb went ricocheting across the small cabin. They did it! The assault force reports controlled too heavy. 60% loss of personnel. My God, have mercy on their souls. Is it? Oh. The heavy is opening fire on the other shaded ships. Our assault force has gained control of the weapons and targeting systems. We still have some time before we're in weapons range again. Give me the big picture. Outer colony's gone. Venus Station reports massive damage and is evacuating to shuttles. 6 orbital penetrators have hit Earth. Latest reports indicate more than 50% loss of fleet's assets. And the volunteers? Losses unknown, but about 1 in 10 of the alien forces are showing green on the screen, and most of those are directing weapons fire at the other alien ships. Not enough, but they will remember us. Yes, they will. They all will. We have 15 rounds for the railgun left, and 2 volleys of rockets. Copy. Once more onto the breach, then. The fans had stopped working. Sweat was pouring from both the crew's faces. Out of rockets, 2 shells are left. Reactor unstable. Copy. It's been a pleasure. What was that? The captured heavy just blinked out. Went to hyperspace. Probably. Half my sensors are not up. Hold on. The pilot jinxed the craft, narrowly avoiding the searing beams stabbing out from the alien ships. It is happening across the system. Captured ships are blinking out. What the? Hold on. Intel just flashed a report. Ship auto-recall system. Shit. So all that for nothing. Well, they'll remember. The cockpit went to white as one of the stabbing beams found the small craft. The instructor turned off the projector. Students from a dozen races blinked as the lights came back on. What is now known as the Last Stand of Terror happened 100 cycles ago. The record you just watched was recovered from one of the automated Terran probes. Several of the students made signs to ward off influences. To a lot of races, the words of the dead were considered unlucky. Since this randomly selected recording ended before the end of the battle, the teacher continued, perhaps someone could tell the class what happened. Several variations on the theme of fallen shot into the air. The teacher hesitated, then indicated a student in the back of the room. The captured fleet was auto-recalled when the onboard systems detected that the proper crew was incapacitated, the student said as he unfolded. According to the ship's programming, they phased into a low orbit over the attacker's home planet. The students were all staring at the upright alien. The human boarders promptly subjected the planet to an intense bombardment, the student continued, causing significant casualties as well as taking out any military command structure in the short while it took for the attacking government to first work out what had happened and then attempt to negotiate a surrender. Do go on, the teacher encouraged, as the student started to take a sit down. Negotiations were cut short by an orbital projectile. The remains of the government surrendered unconditionally. Couriers were dispatched to Sol immediately, where less than a quarter of the Terran fleet remained. Very well, the teacher said, as he motioned to the student to sit down. And as you can all know, this kick-started the Terran Empire, as outlined in the class you attended last cycle. So why do we still call this battle the Last Stand of Terror? The same student raised a limb. The teacher nodded. Because there will be no more battles of terror. Humanity has made sure to wipe out any information on the location of Sol. They have taken control of a dozen races. Human laws are in effect, and Pax Terra is pacifying the whole of the Orion Arm. Any species attempting to rearm will be, reminded not to. Very well, said the human teacher as he sat down. And you all better remember that. Now your homework for today is... End of story. Story number 2. They set the air on fire. Written by Flaming Raven. UE3, a moon of little importance. Its air was thick, curling off its vast oceans of methane. It was of little importance until the war began. The Empire was struggling to halt the advance of the Terran filth that was leaching off its borders. So we placed a secret weapons testing facility on the planet, hidden beneath its surface. The massive orbital gun would be exposed for a standard minute at most, before destroying its target and be hidden once more. A minute to fire, 5 to reload. I am Admiral Mog. My mission, defend UE3 from the Terran menace. If only it were that simple. The filthy monkeys barely engaged my fleet in the opening of the battle. Instead, their forces deployed on the far side of the moon, the exact opposite of the cannon. They excel at ground warfare, so it made sense to start off with what they were good at. Luckily, they cannot breathe methane like us. They are limited to oxygen, so it would be a while for them to scurry their way to our facility. But I left the ground defense to General Tog, my brood brother. I received a message before the fleets met in combat. Standing in the center of the flame, with a steaming mug of roasted bean water, or coffee, as the Terrans called it, in hand, was a female Terran in the later years of her species' life cycle. Her icy blue eyes appeared tired for a Terran. I was about to speak before she took a drink of her coffee loudly. "We need to get that latte machine fixed ASAP," she muttered. An engineer saluted her and ran out of the frame. "I can't stand instant coffee." I tried to begin once more. "Too early for the usual. You are inferior to us, shtick. I am only sending this message as per protocol. As we're sending our troops down to your moon," she began setting the mug of disappointment down on a flat surface. "In reality, I just want this over as soon as we possibly can." I received a communication from General Tugg. "Alert! Multiple ships leaving orbit. Multiple life forms detected." I ordered a scan of the surface via our shortwave hive mind comms. Scans showed not a single Terran on the planet. Something felt off. So instead of the usual method of engagement, I was given a green light to destroy the military target known as, she squinted at a datapad, UV-3, by any means necessary. I ordered the facility to prepare for orbital bombardment. "Commo, get the salamander on the line," the woman said. "Yes, Admiral Pedersen. Salamander on screen," the disembodied voice said before the image of another Terran was shown up on screen. "Hey, Helen, what's the news?" the male Terran asked, his smile showing through the silver beard. "Hey, George, I'm activating the Bannigan contingency," the now-named Helen Peterson said. George pressed a series of buttons next to him. "Primed and ready, ma'am," George said. I received word that the facility had finished their defensive preparations. I sighed in relief. No orbital bombardment could touch them. My brood brother was safe. "Launch the Devil Seed," Helen said. That was an odd name. What could it mean? A single projectile fired from the HMS Salamander. It broke through the orbit. I knew the following barrage would come afterwards. This was simply the first shot, firing for an effect on target. General Zog ordered it to be shot down. Our point defense systems fired a single round. Before that round even touched the projectile, it detonated the moment it hit the atmosphere. It was as if a new sun had been born before my very eyes. The methane in the air wasn't nearly enough to cause such a sight. This must have been a new Terran weapon. Communications from the facility were still going strong, but the fire wasn't dying down. "Yeah, looks like we're done here. Good luck putting that out in the next..." She checked her datapad again. 50 years. 50 years? My shock must have been obvious. Yeah, the Devil Seed usually only burns the planet for about a month, but seeing as it's a moon, and it was saturated with methane and ethane gases, it's a whole different calculation, Helen said. More sensor pings lit up in deep space. A fleet nearly 10 times larger than the first, and 5 times larger than ours, was coming out of FTL. A cold dread took my soul. This was the actual fleet. We just lost an entire moon to a scouting flotilla. The Terrans are far more intelligent than I gave them credit for. They make weapons, and they keep them until they have to use it, such as their Devil Seed. It appears to, for lack of any better word, it sets the air on fire. Terrans are insane. End of story. I would quickly like to thank our Tier 5 patrons and channel members: Casper Arnholt, Cam Maxwell, it's difficult to pronounce, Lord Arishikal, Dragzoon WRE, and Arcadian. Thank you very much.